right, welcome back. Good to see you again. Now, after 38 years as head of state, Angolan President Jose Eduardo dos Santos is set to bow out of office. He actually has.
He has. In fact,
yes.
for him not to contest again, because he announced last year that he wasn't going to recontest or stand for president again. So
yes, indeed. Now, and that has happened already now. So he is Africa's second longest serving leader after his counterpart in Equatorial Guinea, Teodoro Obiang Nguema. He did not contest in the country's presidential election that held on Wednesday.
Now, his departure will be significant in a country that has known only two leaders since independence from Portugal in 1975. Now, vote counting is ongoing, and soon Angola will have a president in maybe less than 24 hours from now.
Yes, indeed. Former Defense Minister João Lorenzo of the ruling party MPLA and Isaias Samakuva of UNITA are the two main contenders for the presidential seat. All right, joining us from the UK via Skype to discuss this is Jermaine Sonwo-Olu. It's good to have you on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me on the show this morning.
Yes, some have described this as a watershed, a new beginning, of course, a new start for Angola with Eduardo dos Santos stepping down after 38 years. What legacy do you think? What legacy do you think he'll be leaving behind?
Well, it's certainly a new start for not just Angola, but the African continent as a whole. His decision to step down and not die in office or be removed by coup d'etat is actually one that is very exemplary. Well, the legacy he's going to leave behind it's kind of interesting because, first of all, at the age of 19, he joined a militia group that fought against, fought for the liberation of an independence of Angola from the Portuguese, and which that liberation movement actually turned out to be the MPLA. And in 2002, he was credited for actually resolving the civil war that has been in the country for over 30 years. So he is kind of mixed, but there are also allegations of corruption. Imagine someone staying for 38 years there. So he's met with a lot of controversy, but a lot of good. But he living out, he's bowing down right now in a very exemplary way, and it's going to set an example for other African leaders.
All right, now his decision not to stand to be voted for again, how would it really translate to a new dawn on the African continent, where there are lots of complaints that so many countries, apart from just very few, that have their leaders staying for more than 10, 20, 30 years and so on?
Well, there's a temptation for many African leaders to actually want to extend their stays from 2 terms to 3 terms and actually stay and rule as monarchs for a long time. But he actually stepping down is actually good. But he's not just stepping down because he wants to. He said so in December 2016 that he's not going to contest for re-elections. But there has been rumors or stories that because of his health challenges, which sounds very familiar to us, he's actually has to step down. Just a few months ago, he went to Spain to go and take medical treatment, or you can call it a medical vacation if you want, and he was there for quite a while, and he went there again. So he has some health challenges. That's why he's saying he's not going to keep on running because of the demands of the presidency. And that is what many African leaders need to understand, that when it's time to go, it's time to go. He has paid his dues. He's come up as a militia fighter, as a freedom fighter. He's also resolved the civil war. Now it's time for him to go. So I believe many African leaders will see and have a paradigm shift that they can actually step down. And what he's done also is not just put a family member into power, but he's put an independent person, someone separate, someone who he has actually mentored over the years, is Defense Minister João Lorenzo. So this is good example that you should build up future leaders and step down when it's time for you to go.
Yeah, well, stepping down after 38 years, I mean, one could say that he had no choice than to step down. If he was really going to step down, he would have done that much earlier. But let's talk about some of the issues you raised earlier about allegations of nepotism, for example, and corruption. His family is huge, and people are already asking what will happen to this humongously rich family when the head of that family steps down as president. Of course, Lorenzo has said he will fight corruption, but he has been part of this family when the head of that family steps down as president. Of course, Lorenzo has said he will fight corruption, but he has been part of this administration over the years. So how is he really going to fight corruption? Do you see him able to do that effectively?
Well, it's just political rhetoric that is actually going and politicking, because it's going to be hard for him to do, as you said. He's been part of the administration, but he is saying he's coming to fight corruption, restore the economy, deal with cynicism, cronyism, and ensure that there is a revamping of Angola's dying economy right now. And you're very right. Jose dos Santos has actually been there for so long. And if you didn't know, his daughter, Isabella, is actually the richest woman in Africa, and according to Forbes. And right now, you know, she runs the state-owned oil company, Angola, and she has been, but she was a billionaire before she got into power, but she's now ruling that. His son is into entertainment, his other sons are doing other things, and one of his children is also running the Sovereign World Fund. So it's actually going to be hard for them to actually lose that wealth, because Jose dos Santos was actually strategic. He said that he has put his children in strategic places, and he's also ensured that being a member of the ruling board right now in the country, he has been elected to be part of that now. He's also going to be immune for any kind of persecution if Lorenzo decides to come against him. And also what's going to happen now is that he has ensured that the defense, the police, and the intelligence chiefs are not going to be moved for the next 8 years. And those are critical people that are very, very close to him, that will ensure that his power and his status is maintained, even though he's not in office. So he's a smart man. He's leaving the presidency, but his hands are very much still in government.
All right, so he still has a lot of influence in the new presidency, in the new government. Now, let us even understand, it's not just Angola, it's not just Zimbabwe, it's not just Cameroon. So many Togo. African countries, exactly, Togo, they all have a lot of their presidents staying in and on and on. And what is that temptation? What is that thing that really make a lot of these heads of state and governments stay in power beyond a single term or two term, as the case may be?
Well, it's a problem of leadership. It's leadership, and there's failure in succession planning. They are always tempted when they see the amount of money, the amount of influence, the amount of power that they get when they get into office, but they don't know that the success of a leader is determined by his successor. And that's what we see played out in Lagos State. You understand that the leader in Lagos State actually decided to step down, but got a lot of great men to follow after him. But the temptation in governance in African leaders, as you can see, the Robert Mugabe, and also the longest serving one in Equatorial Guinea, President Theodore, they actually just want to stay there and keep ruling and keep having like a still hand, like if they are kings in their own land. But I believe it's time for a paradigm shift in African governance. They have to now start deciding that, you know what, we are going to be building successors. We're going to look at young people who can carry on the mantle of leadership and step down when it's right. Then there must be a democratization of the African presidency in their orientation, in their mindset, not just theoretically. They have to practice true democracy, not traditional form of rulership again.
Yes, and it does seem that Lorenzo has his work cut out for him. 40% of the Angolan population is in stark poverty, and Angola, second largest oil producer in Africa, that didn't do the country much good. Going forward, what do you think Lorenzo can do to actually, bring a country like Angola that is vastly blessed in all manner of mineral resources to where it should be?
Yes, Ngozi, you're absolutely right. Angola has been the second largest producer of oil, competing with Nigeria for a long time. But the slump in the global price of oil has actually affected the country. And what Jose Lorenzo, if he comes into power, has to actually do right now is to ensure the equitable distribution of wealth amongst the people, to come up with poverty alleviation programs, to ensure that the money that they are still getting from oil is actually used. Yes, their kwanzo, their currency, local currency has depreciated in value because of the failure of influx, the lack of influx of US dollars into the economy, but they can ensure that they do a lot of things, bring foreign direct investment and show that the leadership has changed and there is a transformation in the country. He wants to fight corruption, yes. He wants to change the economic situation, but he has to now focus on ensuring that the people's voices are heard and their bellies are full and the economy is transformed in the nearest future, because that will be the litmus test of his leadership. They need change. They need real change, not just cosmetic change, but change that they can actually feel and can actually feed their bellies when the time is right.
Now, with all the enthusiasm and all of the passion to change things and the new blood, so to say, in Lorenzo coming on board, even if he has the passion and the will to change things, but with the platform and all the system and all the pedigree that Dos Santos has on ground, will he do anything differently from what has always been over the years?
Let's really hope so that he will try to do. And let's not forget that President Jose Lorenzo Dos Santos is still going to be the leader of the MPLA party. So he's still going to be dictating things that actually happen. Let's hope this man actually has the wherewithal to actually stand up and say, you know what, we won't persecute you. We're not going to file any charges against you. Just stay behind and let us do the job. Let's hope that it's actually going to, because that will be the only hope for Angola right now, which is suffering economically and who are just recovered from a civil war that has ravaged the country over the years. So let's pray that this man who has had some tested leadership, being the defense minister, defense secretary, can actually come and say, okay, I'm going to do things right. I'm going to build a new foundation upon which the future of Angola and Angolans can actually be built. So let's remain hopeful for our sister African nation that things will change.
And hope doesn't hurt at all, but hope deferred is really painful. We'll have to leave it there. Jermaine Sanwo-Olu, thank you so much for joining us, as always, on TVC Breakfast, all the way from the United Kingdom. See you again.
Thanks a lot for me. See you soon.
All right, thank you.